This video is based on official NTSB investigation reports. The story you're about to hear represents one of aviation's most extraordinary survival stories, a case where metal fatigue and structural failure created an impossible emergency that tested pilot skill and human courage. April 28, 1988. Aloha Airlines Flight 243 prepares for a routine 35-minute hop from Hilo to Honolulu. The Boeing 737-200, registration N73711, carries 89 passengers and 6 crew members on what should be a peaceful journey over the Pacific. Captain Robert Schornsteimer, 44, commands with 8,500 flight hours including 6,700 in Boeing 737s. First Officer Madeline "Mimi" Tompkins, 36, serves as co-pilot with 3,500 of her 8,000 hours in this aircraft type. At 24,000 feet above the Pacific, their routine flight transforms into aviation history when an 18-foot section of the aircraft's roof suddenly tears away in explosive decompression. The hole exposes passengers to 300 mPa winds while flight attendant Clarabelle C.B. Lansing disappears into the void. This is the story of Aloha Airlines Flight 243. How an aging aircraft's hidden structural flaws created an unimaginable emergency, and how professional airmanship brought 94 people safely home despite impossible odds. The investigation will expose systemic failures in aircraft maintenance and the deadly consequences of metal fatigue in high-cycle operations. The Boeing 737-200, serving on Flight 243, represents a veteran of Hawaiian inter-island aviation. Manufactured in 1969, registration number N73711, has served Aloha Airlines for 19 years in the challenging Hawaiian environment. This aircraft has reached 89,680 flight cycles, nearly double the rate Boeing considered when developing its maintenance recommendations. Hawaiian inter-island routes create unique stresses with numerous daily flights involving rapid pressurization cycles. Each flight subjects the pressurized fuselage to complete pressurization and depressurization, creating stress that slowly wears down the aircraft's metal structure. The 737's design incorporates overlapping joints where fuselage panels overlap, joined by cold bond adhesive and rivets. Hawaii's coastal environment exposes aircraft to salt spray and humidity that accelerate corrosion in metal joints. The combination of high cycles and corrosive conditions creates perfect conditions for latent structural deterioration. Flight 243 had completed 3 round trips earlier that day without incident. Maintenance records showed no unusual discrepancies, but visual inspections between flights were not necessary. Captain Schornsteimer and First Officer Tompkins, with their extensive 737 experience, embody Hawaiian aviation professionalism. Their expertise will prove crucial when their aircraft faces structural failure. The groundwork is being laid for a catastrophic malfunction that will test their training in every aspect. Beneath the routine exterior of Flight 243, metal fatigue was silently weakening the aircraft's structure through undetectable microscopic crack propagation. The overlap joint on the S-10L beam harbored extensive fatigue damage that had grown unnoticed for years. The Boeing 737's design incorporated cold-bonded overlap joints using epoxy-impregnated fabric to join fuselage panels. This bonding process, later abandoned, proved vulnerable to separation under pressurized flight stress cycles. Passenger Gail Yamamoto noticed a crack in the fuselage upon boarding but did not report it. This visible indication of structural damage was not addressed as the aircraft prepared for its fatal flight. The crack represents end-stage fatigue damage that began around the rivets years earlier. Each pressurization cycle propagated these cracks until they reached a critical length for catastrophic failure. Aloha Airlines' maintenance program failed to detect the extensive separation and fatigue cracks. While the airline's 15,000 flight-hour D-check interval appears sufficient, it overlooks accelerated fatigue resulting from high-cycle operations. FAA oversight is inadequate in identifying the unique stresses arising from Hawaii operations. Regulators fail to require enhanced inspections for high-cycle aircraft in corrosive environments. Boeing's service bulletins suggest inspection procedures, but lack the authority to mandate industry compliance across all operators. Flight 243 departs Hilo at 1:25 p.m. Hawaii time, with clear skies providing perfect conditions for the short flight to Honolulu. As the Boeing 737 ascends normally, passengers take their seats for the routine inter-island journey. First Officer Tompkins directs the takeoff, while Captain Schornsteimer oversees operations following standard procedures for the heavily used route between Hawaii's Big Island and Oahu. Their routines are similar to those of thousands of other flights safely conducted. Crew members C.B. Lansing, Michelle Honda, and Jane Sedatomic prepare for meal service. Lansing begins serving the final drinks as the aircraft approaches cruising altitude. The 737 proceeds level, maintaining its normal cruising speed at an altitude of 24,000 feet, approximately 23 nautical miles south-southeast of Kahului in Maui. All systems operate within parameters as the crew manages routine tasks. Passengers are enjoying the spectacular views of Hawaii while preparing for arrival in Honolulu or reading a book. The peaceful atmosphere reflects the safety passengers expect from inter-island aviation. Below the cabin floor, the lap joint in the S-10L beam is nearing the end of its structural integrity. Years of fatigue crack growth have weakened the fuselage, where normal pressurization loads have exceeded its remaining strength. At 1:46 p.m., the inevitable happens. The damaged lap joint ruptures catastrophically, triggering events that will push the aircraft to its design limits and the crew's capabilities to their utmost. A peaceful island flight transforms into an unimaginable aviation emergency. Before continuing with this extraordinary series of events, we want to thank our viewers who follow our Pilot's Perspective program. These structural failure investigations help us understand the challenges in aircraft maintenance. Your subscriptions help us investigate these dramatic aviation survival stories. At 1:46 p.m., the overlap joint catastrophically fails, creating a small opening that rapidly expands due to cabin pressurization. The failure causes an explosive pressure drop as cabin air leaks out through the expanding opening. The 8 psi pressure difference creates enormous forces that tear the fuselage cladding along the weakened joints. The structural failure rapidly progresses aft, opening the aircraft's roof like a metal box. A 5.5-meter section of the upper fuselage, extending from the rear of the cockpit to the forward wing area, separates from the aircraft. The missing roof exposes the passengers in the first 5 rows to the open sky and winds blowing at 480 kilometers sledge. CB, a flight attendant serving drinks near row 5, was instantly ejected from the aircraft by the sudden drop in pressure. Her body disappeared over the Pacific Ocean, making her the only fatality in the crash. The sudden loss of pressure turned the cabin into a war zone. Loose objects were tossed around like projectiles in the violent air currents. Passengers helplessly watched as cabin insulation and personal belongings scattered in the open space. First Officer Tompkins threw his head back violently upon seeing pieces of insulation flying around the cockpit. The pilots immediately understood that this was an unprecedented emergency requiring immediate action. Captain Schornsteimer assumes manual control of the crippled Boeing 737 as the aircraft shudders under aerodynamic loads. It was never designed to handle. The missing roof creates massive drag and changes center of pressure, requiring constant control inputs. The violent 300 mm airstream through the cabin creates noise levels making cockpit communication nearly impossible. Pilots must rely on hand signals and visual cues while coordinating emergency response procedures. First Officer Tompkins assists with emergency checklists while fighting disorientation from explosive decompression. The crew must simultaneously manage pressurization loss, structural damage, and flight control challenges. Aircraft controls respond sluggishly due to changed aerodynamics from the missing roof section. Schornsteimer must apply continuous inputs to prevent dangerous attitudes. Emergency descent requires immediate reduction to altitude, where passengers can breathe without oxygen. However, structural damage makes high-speed descent dangerous, forcing careful balance between urgency and aircraft limitations. Air traffic control clears Flight 243 for immediate diversion to Kahului Airport on Maui, providing vectors and coordinating emergency response services. Behind the cockpit, flight attendants Michelle Honda and Jane Sato Tomita demonstrate extraordinary courage moving through the damaged cabin to assist terrified passengers. Despite their own injuries, they help secure objects and calm panic. The crew faces multiple simultaneous emergencies while maintaining control through conditions no training could anticipate. As Flight 243 descends toward Maui, additional complications emerge, multiplying the crew's challenges. Explosive decompression damages electrical systems, causing instrument failures and communication difficulties. Structural damage affects flight characteristics, requiring Captain Schornsteimer to constantly adjust control inputs for stable flight. The missing roof creates unpredictable aerodynamic forces threatening to overstress remaining structure. During descent, one Boeing 737 engine shows distress signs, possibly damaged by debris from structural failure. The crew monitors engine parameters while preparing for possible single-engine approach procedures. Landing gear system suffers electrical damage, preventing normal extension indications. Pilots cannot verify whether gear deploys properly, creating additional uncertainty for emergency landing approach. Flight attendant Michelle Honda crawls through damaged cabin despite injuries, helping passengers prepare for emergency landing. Her courage exemplifies aviation's best traditions while passengers face terror beyond imagination. Passengers in the exposed section endure hurricane-force winds, flying debris, and freezing temperatures during 13-minute descent. Many suffer injuries from debris impact and electrical wires hanging from damaged ceiling areas. The crew coordinates with Kahului Emergency Services to prepare for arrival with unknown landing gear configuration. Fire trucks and ambulances position along the runway. Captain Schornsteimer lines up for runway 2 approach while managing multiple malfunctions and uncertain gear status. Captain Schornsteimer executes one of aviation's most challenging emergency landings, bringing the structurally compromised Boeing 737 to Kahului Airport, despite multiple system failures and uncertain aircraft configuration. Without positive landing gear indication, the crew prepares for possible gear-up landing while hoping main gear deployed normally. Damaged electrical systems prevent normal verification, forcing reliance on visual confirmation from air traffic control. Flight 243 touches down successfully on runway 2 at 1:58 p.m., just 13 minutes after initial structural failure. The landing demonstrates exceptional airmanship under conditions challenging every aspect of aircraft design and crew training. Emergency responders immediately surround the aircraft as passengers evacuate through normal exits and emergency slides. Structural damage extent becomes apparent as ground personnel observe the massive hole where the roof had been. 65 passengers and crew require medical treatment for injuries ranging from minor cuts to serious trauma from flying debris and decompression effects. Maui Memorial Hospital activates emergency procedures for casualty influx. The successful landing preserves human life despite CB Lansing's loss and represents one of aviation's most extraordinary survival stories. The crew's professional response under impossible conditions saves 94 lives. Investigation teams immediately secure the aircraft and begin evidence collection. The dramatic accident attracts worldwide attention to aviation safety and maintenance procedures. The NTSB investigation reveals complex factors contributing to catastrophic structural failure, fundamentally changing how aviation authorities approach aging aircraft maintenance and inspection procedures. Metallurgical analysis shows extensive fatigue cracking in the lap joint area, with complete disbonding of cold bond adhesive supposed to supplement riveted connections. The bonding process proves inadequate for long-term durability in Hawaiian environment. Investigators discover the aircraft's 89,680 flight cycles far exceed assumptions Boeing used developing maintenance recommendations. Rapid cycle accumulation in Hawaiian operations creates fatigue stress patterns not anticipated in original design analysis. Corrosion damage in coastal Hawaiian environment accelerates structural deterioration beyond normal expectations. Salt exposure and humidity create reactions weakening metal joints and hiding fatigue damage from visual inspection. The investigation reveals failures in Aloha Airlines maintenance program to detect significant structural damage despite following FAA-approved procedures. Inspection techniques prove inadequate for identifying disbonding and fatigue cracking. Boeing's service bulletins recommending enhanced inspections lack mandatory compliance requirements, allowing airlines to ignore critical safety procedures. Manufacturer guidance proves insufficient for high-cycle operations prevention. FAA oversight fails to recognize unique challenges of Hawaiian operations and accelerated aging in high-cycle corrosive environments. Regulatory procedures prove inadequate for non-traditional operational profiles. As we conclude this investigation into one of aviation's most miraculous survival stories, we thank our viewers who follow through the pilot's eyes. These structural failure studies help us understand aircraft aging and maintenance challenges. Your support allows us to research these extraordinary aviation survival stories. The Flight 243 investigation triggers fundamental changes in aviation maintenance philosophy and aging aircraft oversight. The accident demonstrates traditional inspection methods prove inadequate for detecting widespread fatigue damage in high-cycle operations. Congress passes the Aviation Safety Research Act of 1988, mandating enhanced research into aircraft structural integrity and fatigue management. The legislation requires development of new inspection technologies and maintenance procedures. The FAA implements the Supplemental Structural Inspection Program, SIP, requiring enhanced procedures for older aircraft. The program emphasizes damage tolerance principles and fracture mechanics analysis for critical components. Boeing modifies 737 production to include additional doubler sheets at lap joints, providing extra thickness in critical areas. Aircraft after line number 27 to incorporate these improvements as standard features. Captain Schornsteimer and First Officer Tompkins receive recognition for extraordinary airmanship under impossible conditions. Their response becomes standard for aviation emergency management training. Flight attendant C.B. Lansing is honored with a memorial garden at Honolulu International Airport, ensuring her sacrifice contributes to enhanced aviation safety. The 94 survivors represent aviation's triumph over adversity through professional training, aircraft design, and human courage.